9 years ago, I caught my very first barbel and loved it. Annual trips follow, but it's now been 6 long years since I last targeted them. Today, I'm breaking that streak with my good friend Rob on his very own beautiful stretch of the River Severn. What a start to my first visit back to the Severn. We worked out 6 years. 6 years since we last saw each other. Joined once again, or I'm joining Rob, should I say, on his stretch of the Severn. And it's already kicked off within the first half an hour, if that.
If that.
So
2 casts, 2 fish.
Hopefully it's a sign of things to come. The last time I was here was June the 16th, 6 years ago. It was a tough old session, but if it carries on the way this has started, it's going to be a cracking session.
Make it up for you, aren't we?
There's the drone remote. I can't stop. Right, where's return to home? There. Right, it's returning to home.
Hello,
there we go. Right. It should land itself.
Land itself.
Yeah. Sweet, thank you very much. And here we go with number 3. A bit of mayhem with that one because I was flying the drone, getting some nice shots. There goes the kingfisher. And one of the rods went off again, so handed the remote to him before striking into this absolutely beautiful barbel. They're not massive so far, and I don't think they even go up to that big in here, just into double figures if we're lucky, but catching a species I haven't caught in over 6 years is great fun, especially when they look like that. Absolutely stunning. Nice to catch something a little bit different for a change. It makes it look a lot bigger if I hold it there as well, fiddle in the frame. Great fun. Let's get him back, continue the fun. Perfect bob lip. And he's in. Whee! After a good hour or so of complete inactivity, the right hand rod, which is mine, burst into life. I'm here on my own at the moment, have been for the last hour or so. It's really quiet. I've never really appreciated them as up close and personal as this. Just really looked in detail at the scale patterns on them. Beautiful. Almost, some of them like tooth shaped, others more like Doritos, some like guitar picks, but I bet you've never heard a barbel described like that before, but beautiful condition once again, and a really good scrap on my rod. The rods are back out, but as it's been quite quiet over the last hour or so, I'm going to see if anything happens in the next 10-20 minutes. Bring the rods in, then probably put some bait out, have a little wander up and down the river, and come back later on where hopefully, after being no line pressure, there could be some barbel back in the swim. But what a trip it's been so far, and we're only a few hours in. Beautiful. Well, it's just gone 4 o'clock, and with it being November the 4th, that means it's going to get dark very, very quickly because the clocks changed last week. So we've had a very productive afternoon and first few hours of the session, but as it's going to go dark very soon, most of the session is going to be in darkness. It's not going to be as easy to show you the setup we're using when it's dark. So I thought I'd show you it now before it gets completely dark. Now, you're going to hear me referencing carp fishing a lot here. That's because that's my main background of angling. And some of the things that we're using in this setup is something I actually use in my carp fishing. And that is the lead arrangement setup, shall we say. So I am using a cage feed on here, which as you can see, if it focuses, is loaded with pellets, which Rob just doused with a bit of the river water to start with to make them a bit more supple and soft so they stick into the cage feeder a bit better. You just put them in with a bit of pressure to hold them in, but once it's on the river bed, those will start to fall out and trickle down past your hook link and past your hook bait, which is further down. Now this is completely running. Now, as you can see, there's a buffer bead on that swivel there. If we try and get it to focus again, come on camera, there we go. As you can see, there's a buffer bead on the swivel, so that cage feeder runs completely freely on the line. So it holds bottom, there's plenty enough weight there, but once that fish picks up the rig, there is nothing holding that lead in position on the lake bed. It's completely free running. So just like I do with my carp fishing, when I'm using a lead clip setup, I have the initial bolt effect of the swivel in the lead clip, and then it all runs, and I find that gives me much better hook to land ratio, and that's just the method that we're using on this setup. And then the hook link itself, after the buffer bead, is dead simple. Just got a figure-8 loop knot up there to attach to a quick chain swivel, and it's a 3-foot hook link made of 10-pound mono for this one, down to the most simple hair rig you can go for. Now I've added a little bit of tubing around the hook just as a tiny bit of a kicker and help the exit of the line angle from the hook. Completely unnecessary, because if I was showing you Rob's setup right now, he's literally got straight down to a hook and nothing else. He's probably smiling to left me on the camera a little bit because I'm trying to add some carpy elements to my rig, but it's extremely simple. A knotless knot down to, at the moment, focus, Tesco's own Spam. So this is the cheap version of Spam, but we have also been using double 11mm pellets, were they? 14mm pellets, and also boilies as well. So if you're coming into this from, you've never carp fished, done it again, sorry, it's almost blasphemy to you, isn't it? If you're coming into this from a background of predominantly carp angling and something else, a lot of the elements are very, very similar. So you don't have to learn new rigs or learn new approaches. You can pretty much adapt your fishing to fish for barbel in a very, very similar way to carp fishing, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. Now, rod and reel wise, again, you can get dedicated barbel rods, dedicated reels. You do want to scale down a bit. We're using lighter tackle. I think it's 6-pound hook link and 8-pound main you've got on yours. Yeah. So you can scale down for the size of fish. Of course, it's going to be relative to how snaggy your water is, the flow, the size of the fish, but you do want to scale down. You'll enjoy it more. A lot like when I go surface fishing, I use a dedicated setup for that. And that's actually the rod I'm using. So I've not bought any specific stuff for barbel. Maybe I will in the future if I start doing this more often, but if you're someone that wants to get into it and you're constantly thinking, I don't have barbel kit, so what am I going to do? You can get by with using an old float rod, maybe your carp rod, predominantly or preferably a lighter action rod, like a floater action rod, which is 2 1/4 when I've got. The reel I've got, again, is inexpensive. It's the one, if you keen of eye, is one from the wish.com video, which, no, I tell a lie, the Marketplace video, the cheapest rod and reel combo from Marketplace. Costs next to nothing. It's a bait runner, perfect for this sort of scenario. I'm not too precious about it, because if we're going to be slipping over on muddy banks, which I have been doing so today, if I was to hit it into the ground, it's not my precious carp gear. So if you want to just give it a try, you don't have to break the bank. Use the stuff you've got, give it a try, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. Now, the light is about to fade. That blasted plane is going over again, so I'm going to get this rod back out and hopefully have something else before it gets dark, and then have an energy drink into the night, because I think it could be a restless one. And I hope it is too. I think I'd hit stop on the little sequence of me telling you how we're fishing the setup, and no more than a few seconds later, Rob's rod went off again. Oh, it's just the wrong way. And he'd be very courteous to let me have pretty much all the bites. And this one got stuck on something out in the middle of the flow. But between us, several attempts of slacking off and giving it some line, we've managed to free it. Haven't seen it yet. Doesn't matter how big it is, because This one's been harder, and just to get it out of whatever snag it was stuck in. And it is going to be, fingers crossed, one more before it gets completely dark. And this will be barbel number 6 in what, 5-6 hours?
Yeah. Barbel an hour. Can't go wrong with that, can you?
No, not at all. There he is, one of the smaller ones. Do the long handle this, couldn't it?
Yeah. Didn't you proud though?
Oh, you butchered it. There we go.
Well done, mate.
Thank you.
No one bites the dust.
You don't want to hang about. Morning everyone, it's been light for probably a good hour and a half now I'd say. I've finished my cup of tea, some breakfast, woken myself up, slowly getting out of bed because the barbel fishing was pretty slow last night, but I was still up most of the night trying to make things work. I fished pretty hard up until about 11 o'clock I'd say last night, recasting every 20-30 minutes, fresh hook baits, fresh feeders, introducing bait and trying to get some activity. I did manage one more barbel at I think around 8 o'clock in the evening. Another lovely fish, about average size of what we've been having on this trip. And that was it from after then. As I said, I kept on introducing bait every sort of 40 minutes or 30 minutes or so. Just a few pouches of pellet, a few boilies as well. Changing the hook bait, so I went from meat then down to pellet so that the pellets will stay on a bit longer. And then after that, I just thought I'm gonna go ledger bottom baits with 3-ounce leads, hold bottom a bit better, no cage feeders, and boilies so they stay on the hook a bit longer, they won't wear down as quickly, and just left them out there as well for about an hour or so each time. Unfortunately then, loads of leaf matter started coming down through the river, so it's dragging my leads around. I couldn't get any form of sleep because every sort of 20 minutes a rod would start ticking away and it was just leaves dragging everything. So I brought one of the rods in and fished one rod throughout the rest of the night until about 4 AM when I woke up again and put both rods back out on ledgered baits, a few more pouches of bait over the top just to try and introduce it. And now here we are at, I'd say about 9 o'clock in the morning, and we've not had anything since 8 o'clock last night. So 12, 13 hours since the last bite, which isn't ideal because I thought last night was going to be quite productive. But that's just the thing with fishing, you can never guarantee it. Barbel fishing isn't something I'm comfortable with yet. I don't really know what I'm doing. Fishing rivers, I still only done probably a handful of times in my fishing career, or fishing life, shall I say. So it is a complete different mind game or different battle because you're dealing with a lot of water. These fish can move up and down. It's not like a lake where they're situated just in this spot and I gotta wait for them to come back. They could have buggered off a mile for all I know. So what I'm gonna do is bring the rods in, rest the swim for an hour or so, take back bed chair, bivvy, all the things I don't need that I used last night. So I'm nice and light, just with the essentials. I will put some more bait in before I leave to hopefully introduce a bit of activity scent-wise, some free offerings of bait with no line pressure whatsoever. And then when I come back and put the rods out in a bit, hopefully there'll be some less wary barbel in the swim, more obliged to take my hook baits. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. If that doesn't work, we'll scratch our heads and go again. I haven't got that long left of this session. It was only gonna be about a 36-hour session top. So we've got to make something work today to hopefully go home with a few more barbel under our belts. Despite my best efforts, I just couldn't buy another bite, and it wasn't for lack of trying. As anglers though, we can easily get so focused on the next fish that we overlook everything else around us. So before packing up, I took a moment to stand still, breathe it all in and appreciate the simple bliss of just being there.